welcome to Hashimoto's Unfiltered, real talk, real solutions. The podcast where we cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of living with Hashimoto's. My name is Dr. Ray Benedetto, your host, and I'm here to share my expertise, personal insights, and from time to time, conversations with incredible guests to help you take control of your health. Together, we'll explore actionable items, debunk myths, and navigate the complexities of your thyroid health. So whether you're newly diagnosed or a seasoned warrior, this is your space for unfiltered truth and real hope. Let's dive in. Let's dive in today. So as you can see, the topic of today's talk is your labs are, quote, normal. So why do you still feel so awful? Every single person, probably, I shouldn't say every single person, but most likely every single person hearing the sound of my voice right now has been told this. You've been told, you know, this is how it plays out. So you have symptoms, exhausted, brain fog, inflamed, unexplained weight gain, cold hands and feet, you name it. All the symptoms that go with. You go to your doctor's office, they run a couple of cursory labs, you know, a CBC, a metabolic panel, maybe a TSH screening, that kind of thing, cholesterol. That's it. It's like standard, like scratching the surface type blood work. And they're like, well, everything's in range. You're normal. Nothing's wrong with you. And if you've ever been told that, but you still are feeling everything, you're not imagining it. It's not your fault. You know, symptoms, I have this talk all the time. Like, we don't want to treat symptoms. You know, we don't treat them. That's what medicine does. That's what mainstream medicine does. They treat symptoms with pills. And that doesn't work. You know, the world that I live in is no, let's get to the root cause of what's going on here. Let's figure it out and let's treat it. Let's manage it. Let's handle it. And then the symptoms go away. That's kind of your root cause medicine philosophy. That's the goal. But symptoms are a smoke alarm. It's an alarm bell going off that something is wrong. So you're not imagining what's going on. You're not imagining all these symptoms that you're experiencing. And I get it. It's deflating. It's defeating, especially when you're doing everything. You think you're doing everything. You're following your doctor's advice. If you're on thyroid medication, you're taking your medications, and you're still not feeling better. It's very frustrating. It's extremely frustrating when that's the situation that plays out. And most of the time, as many of you know, that is the situation that plays out, especially, again, in the kind of conventional mainstream medical world. So you're not imagining this. It's not your fault. You're not crazy. You're not making things up. You're not a hypochondriac. You're not depressed. Like, you're not any of these things. You very well may have thyroid issues, or you may have an autoimmune issue. So what we're here to talk about is Hashimoto's is an autoimmune thyroid condition. And it's by far the most common cause of hypothyroidism in this country, upwards of 90% of cases. So it's almost everybody. And it's ignored, obviously, in our medical system. You guys have heard me say this over and over and over again. Unless you're new, now you're hearing it for the first time, so welcome in. Here's the disconnect. Those standard labs that I just mapped out for you. So there's 2 points to make here. Those standard labs that I just mapped out for you is not even close to a full picture of looking at someone's health, but it's pretty standard. So it's a CBC, so it's your blood counts, red blood cells, white blood cells, all that kind of stuff. It's a metabolic panel, blood sugar, kidney function, liver function, all that kind of stuff. These are important tests to do. I'm not saying they're not good tests. It's just not enough usually. And we look at it differently too. That's going to be point number 2. So, you know, cholesterol, right? They love to test cholesterol because they love to prescribe cholesterol meds. So, and if they're looking at your thyroid, it's like it's a TSH screening. That's it, right? They're just checking TSH. And all of those labs, like all that blood work, if you look at the actual tests, right? Like you look at the TSH, you look at the glucose, you look at the, you know, the red blood cells, white blood cells, all that stuff. And you look at the ranges on those labs, they're gigantic. Because what they do to create those ranges is the lab takes basically a cohort of all the people that come to their lab to do that test. Young people, old people, sick people, you know, not sick people, healthy people. Like, it's everyone who's come to do that test. And they do like this big old bell curve, and that's your range. Okay, so they're really huge, these ranges, and they're not ideal and they're not optimal for like healthy people. Like that's where we want to get to. So there's these giant ranges, number one. So you have to pretty much be pathological. Like there has to be some kind of disease process or some kind of pathological process going on for you to start falling outside of those ranges. And that can take a long time, especially with thyroid stuff. Like you could be symptomatic and your TSH doesn't go out of range for years, decades maybe. So looking at those giant ranges is problem number one. First of all, it's not enough testing. So we always want to look at, you guys have heard me say this before, we want to look at, those labs are fine, but we want to look at full thyroid panels. We want to look at things like inflammatory markers. We want to look at things like, again, specific to each case, maybe to look for chronic viral stuff. We want to look at things like homocysteine, which can indicate like methylation issues, all that kind of stuff. Iron panels, you guys have heard me talk about that for sure, like iron and ferritin. So there's more to it. Vitamin D, easy stuff, but just not done. So we need more complete labs, and we need to look at them differently in regards to the ranges. We need to look at optimal ranges as opposed to these gigantic pathological ranges. But your doctor's only going to do those couple of tests in these giant ranges, and if everything is in line, your tests are normal. And that's where it ends. There's no further investigation. There's no like, okay, yeah, but I still have all these symptoms. Like that's where it ends. You're normal. Nothing's wrong. See you later. So there's this giant disconnect between what you're trying to find and between what your doctor's doing to find it, which is not much. So Hashimoto's is often what I like to term under-investigated. I mean, you guys know, most of you, they won't even run the antibody testing unless you ask. Like you have to ask your doctor, who's supposed to be the professional, that's supposed to figure these things out, that's supposed to diagnose you properly and help you. You, the patient, are doing your own investigation, and you are asking the doctor, hey, please send me for the antibodies. They're not even on their own. Go ahead and running the antibodies for you. So the issue isn't necessarily that you're doing something wrong or that you're failing. It's that the system is letting you down. The system is broken. The system is incomplete, because that whole scenario I just laid out is what happens. That is the system, right? You go to your primary care doctor, you're the endocrinologist, what have you. That's what happens. That is the system. So it's not necessarily like you're doing something wrong or you're missing something. Usually your doctor's missing something because it falls short with this cursory look, as far as like a few surface level tests, looking in these giant ranges and not being thorough enough to get the full picture. Because again, you're not imagining these symptoms. Something is causing them. Something is wrong. Symptoms, we don't treat them, but we need to respect them for what they are, which is a fire alarm going off, right? It's a smoke alarm going off saying, hey, there's a fire somewhere. So if the smoke alarm goes off in your house, you don't just take the batteries out so you don't hear the smoke alarm anymore. When the smoke alarm goes off in your house, you say, oh my gosh, that means something's wrong. There's a fire somewhere. Let's go look and find out where it's coming from so we can put it out. We don't treat the smoke alarm, which is making all the noise. The smoke alarm is the noise. It's the alarm bell telling us something is wrong. Go find the source of it and put it out. It's a fundamental shift in philosophy with conventional medicine and the way we do things in the functional medicine world is they're going to treat your symptoms they're going to take the batteries out of the smoke alarm, right? With no regard to being like, oh, maybe we should figure out where this fire is coming from. So now the fire continues to burn and it's slowly burning down the house and we're ignoring the warning signs of it. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the way it works because we're a pharmaceutically based, sick care, insurance-based healthcare system. In the functional medicine world, that alarm goes off. I'm like, all right, cool. That means something's wrong. Okay, maybe I want to turn it off so it doesn't hurt my ears anymore. But now we got to go looking. Now we got to go searching all around the house. Where's the source of the fire? Where's it coming from? Because we got to figure out what's lighting it and we got to put that sucker out if we're going to get anywhere. If we're going to get people better, if we're going to figure out the cause of the problem and we address it, then people get better. Does that make sense? I hope so. So it's not your fault. I don't want to say don't believe your doctors. Like don't quit. Don't stop and take it for Bible, or gospel. If you feel terrible and you're told your labs are normal, something's going on and it's got to be figured out. And their definition of normal is these giant ranges with limited testing that's not serving you. This is where most people with Hashimoto's get stuck because they're like, well, I don't know where else to turn. Now you're listening to the sound of my voice right now. You're in this group. You don't have that excuse because you can just turn to me if you want and we'll figure it all out. But that's what has to be done. And that's why you're hearing that. And that's why you're still feeling the way you feel. That's really the bottom line. Hopefully that was helpful for everyone today. I'm done preaching, but I just hear it. I know you guys hear this all the time. I know it's like a broken record and everyone's like, I'm sick of hearing it. And I wanted to kind of break down today at least a little bit of why you're hearing it. That's why. And really the bottom line is you just have to go down, you have to go down a different path. Like functional medicine is where it's at because that path, that allopathic conventional kind of medical path that I just laid out that you are all familiar with, it's a dead end. Like that's where it goes. Like that path I just described to you hits a dead end and it's done. They're done. Even if you are diagnosed as hypothyroid, you just put on the hormone replacement and sent on your way, get your levels normal and we're done. We're still done. It doesn't fix anything because you're still not better, even on thyroid medication and still having normal levels. It's the same story. So that's it. It's a very short path. It's a dead end path and it's only going to lead to more frustration, so hopefully that makes sense today. And you guys kind of understand why you're hearing over and over and over again, your labs are normal. There's nothing wrong with you and you still feel terrible. I want to thank you for tuning in to Hashimoto's Unfiltered, Real Talk, Real Solutions. Again, my name is Dr. Ray Benedetto, and I hope today's episode helped to give you the tools and the insights you need to take another step forward on your Hashimoto's journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode if you think someone could benefit. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Dr. Ray Benedetto and on my website, drraybenedetto.com for more resources and updates. Until next time, remember, you're not alone and real solutions are always within reach. Take care and be well.